Welcome to Aberdare Cables. Safety is an Aberdare core belief. We commit to eliminate all unsafe acts, behaviour, conditions and incidents. We work towards world-class safety, health, environmental, quality and energy conservation and resource reduction standards.
Good day, colleagues, visitors and all our stakeholders. I am Keith Edmonds, CEO of Aberdare Cables. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to Aberdare Cables. Your safety and health is of paramount importance to us. As the Aberdare management, we are committed to eliminate all workplace incidents and injuries and work towards world-class safety standards. Aberdare has implemented a zero-harm approach towards safety. We believe that all injuries and work-related incidents are preventable. Only once our leaders, employees, visitors and all our stakeholders have embraced this belief can we eliminate incidents from all of our operations. Our attitude is key to ensure our ability and drive towards zero harm. You may ask, how are we going to achieve this? Well, firstly, we are going to expect some behavioral changes. You are required to correct all unsafe acts and conditions. You are required to report all near misses and all sources that have the potential to cause injury and ill health. Ensure that you have been trained for the work you are performing and that you have been made aware of all the potential hazards in your working environment. Please do not perform any tasks if you have not been trained to do so. Lastly, I would like to encourage each and every one of you to take safety home and set the example for your family. Thank you and may you have a safe day.
Aberdare has an integrated SHEC management program that is aimed at ensuring the health and safety of all persons affected by their operations. Aberdare Cables Pty Limited, South Africa, is certified to all international management standards, that is, quality, health and safety, environmental and energy standards. This management program applies to all employees, visitors and contractors, regardless of their status or seniority. Every employee is responsible for his or her own safety and health in the workplace and for the health and safety of all other people affected by Aberdare's activities. This video will increase the awareness of all relevant aspects of safety, occupational health, the environment, quality and energy conservation and resource reduction. Safety rules and regulations. Please ensure that you have read, understood and comply with the site safety rules and regulations. All visitors, service providers and new employees must undergo safety induction and may not enter any of the manufacturing and/or distribution areas without having undergone safety induction. Ensure that you're familiarized with the evacuation routes and assembly points. No smoking is allowed in the manufacturing or administrative buildings. Smoking is only allowed in the demarcated smoking areas outside the buildings. All personal items such as laptops, computers, etc. must be declared at all security entrance points upon entry. You will be requested to complete an entrance security slip. This slip must be signed before you leave, and security will not allow you to exit the premises if the slip has not been signed off by the employee that you visited. If you're a service provider, ensure that you've received a contractor's exit slip from the relevant department head. No cameras or cell phones with cameras are permitted to be used to take photographs on site without prior permission from management. No cell phones are allowed to be answered in the manufacturing environments. No firearms or harmful weapons are allowed on site. No drugs and/or liquor allowed on site. Only personnel, delivery and authorized vehicles are allowed to enter the premises and at the owner's risk. Vehicles should observe and adhere to the stipulated speed limits at the various sites. No children under the age of 16 will be allowed on site. No person will be allowed on site while under the influence of drugs or alcohol. random alcohol and drug testing can and will be enforced. All production areas are declared as noise zones. It's a requirement to wear ear protection when entering these areas. The company will provide ear protection to employees and visitors. Please walk in demarcated areas. Do not stand close to moving machinery, as this could be hazardous and could cause an injury. Do not sleep in the factory, the offices, or the change rooms. Personal protective equipment is issued to all employees. It is the responsibility of each employee to ensure that his or her PPE is in good repair, and that if any damage or loss has occurred, that it's reported immediately to their team leaders or managers. Minimum PPE requirements are safety shoes, two-piece overalls or Conti suits, and hearing protectors when entering manufacturing and warehouse areas. Only visitors with closed shoes are allowed to enter the plants. High-heeled shoes and open-toed shoes are not allowed. Ensure that hearing protection is fitted correctly as per manufacturer directions. If this is not done correctly, you may sustain noise-induced hearing loss. Fire extinguishers, hose reels and hydrants are situated at strategic points. They're indicated by the appropriate signage on the walls and walkways. Fire equipment, emergency escape doors or anything that has been provided in the interest of health and safety may not be tampered with. This is a serious offence and will not be tolerated. Ensure that you're trained before you make use of any equipment that is supplied in the interest of health and safety. Ensure that if any emergency equipment is used, that it's reported immediately to your team leader and/or manager. Ensure that you complete the incident report correctly and accurately. Please take note of the following safety signs and comply with them wherever necessary. When ascending or descending stairs, always make use of the handrail. Walk in the demarcated walkways. Do not take shortcuts by crawling under the machines and/or cable paths. Ensure that your tools are always in good and safe condition. Report defective tools to your team leader or manager and ensure that they are replaced immediately. Do not operate or repair any machine if you're not trained or authorized to do so. Forklift, reach trucks and crane operators must be trained and licensed. They must display their licenses at all times and when asked for. It's the responsibility of the operators of this equipment to ensure that their licenses are still valid. Licenses that are about to expire must be reported 60 days before the stipulated expiration date to your team leader or manager. Always be on the lookout for forklift and moving cranes. Do not touch any rotating or moving machine parts, including cables and wires. Maintain good housekeeping at your workplace and adhere to the 5S principles. Report any unsafe acts and conditions to your team leader immediately. Procedures. A hirer, hazardous identification and risk assessment must be done on any work in order to ensure the task is conducted in a safe and healthy manner, which will prevent any form of injury, ill health or pollution. A hirer must be conducted on all non-routine tasks to ensure that no safety, health and/or environmental aspects have been overlooked before the task is initiated. Operate forklifts, reach trucks, cranes and any other lifting equipment in a safe manner. Inspect lifting equipment prior to use and ensure that they're in a safe working condition. When operating equipment, be aware of those around you. Always maintain eye contact. Conduct good, safe practices in lifting and material handling. Check lifting equipment for latent defects, check the general condition of the equipment, and ensure that no damages have occurred to the equipment since the last inspection. If damages have occurred, then this must be recorded, and your team leader, manager, must be notified immediately. Always adhere to the stacking procedure. Stacking and storage is a hazardous operation. It is compulsory when any work needs to be done on running or moving machinery to have this machinery locked out by a trained person. These persons must be authorized to conduct a lockout tagout of the machinery and/or equipment. This machinery will only be unlocked when the return to work procedure has been followed and signed off by the authorized person. A permit to work must be obtained from the SURE officer prior to commencement of any hot work, working at heights, confined space, rigging, and electrical isolation. Hot work is welding, grinding, cutting, drilling, or any work that involves a possible source of ignition in an area where paper, flammable, or explosive materials may be present. Ensure that firefighting equipment is placed in the immediate vicinity of the hot work being conducted. The authorized person will only sign off the hot work permit 30 minutes after the work has been completed and an inspection carried out to ensure no smouldering is observed. Working at heights must be conducted by a team that consists of no less than 2 persons. Always ensure that you wear your fall protection harness if and when you work above 2 meters from the ground. Ensure that the ladder is safe to use and that the ladder is secured to the building or platform or any other structure to ensure that the ladder does not slip. The ladder must always be held sturdy by a second person at the bottom. Scaffolding may only be erected by a trained person and may only be declared safe to use by a scaffolding inspector. Any person required to enter a confined space will require a confined space entering permit. This is obtainable from the SURE officers. The permit will be issued after gas or air analysis has been done and the area declared safe to enter. 1. All incidents or accidents must be reported immediately to your supervisor, team leader, or first aider. The team leader must ensure that necessary accident-incident investigation forms are completed immediately for investigation and reporting purposes. Failure to report injuries timeously may result in disciplinary action, or the injury claim may be repudiated by the Compensation Commissioner. All unsafe acts and unsafe conditions must be reported on the Accident-Incident Investigation Form and forwarded to the SHE Department for further investigation if required. Environmental. Evidence suggests that the greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels cause an increase in the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. This affects the global climate adversely. A global warming of more than 2 degrees Celsius causes dangerous changes in the global climate. Air pollution. No waste is permitted to be burnt due to air pollution. All powdered pollutants generated during execution of the work are contained to prevent air pollution. To minimize ground pollution, the following procedures should be followed. Household or general waste, paper, plastic, bottles, tins, polystyrene containers, no food, must be disposed of into the waste bins provided. Sorting of various waste is done at the waste contractor's site. All factory waste must be disposed of into the general waste bin. All metals must be disposed of into the relevant container. All fluorescent tubes must be placed in the tube coffin, ready for collection and disposal by the waste contractor. All process waste must be disposed of into the containers provided and taken to the scrap recovery department. All hazardous waste, such as asbestos, gaskets, oil rags, greases, are to be disposed of in the marked containers and sent to licensed waste sites. Old or used oil is to be disposed of into drums clearly marked used oil for recycling. Energy conservation and resource reduction. As an energy-intensive industry, Aberdare must take care to avoid causing the excessive emissions of gases into the environment. Energy efficiency and the control of excessive energy consumption are important drivers for cost reduction and the longevity of the company. Turn off all equipment or lighting that's not being used. Do not waste compressed air by cleaning the floors and/or your overalls. This in itself is an unsafe act and a waste of electricity. The company's energy performance is communicated on the energy awareness boards located around the plant. HFO and electricity account for 98% of the company's energy usage. The significant energy users are large diameter extruders, rod breakers, and air compressors. Make yourself aware of Aberdare's energy policy, which highlights the company's objectives with regard to energy management. Should you wish to know any further detail on energy or associated topics at Aberdare Cables, contact the Group Sustainability Office. Water conservation. The scarcity and expense of water as a resource means that Aberdare is conscious of the need to conserve water, minimize its use, and most importantly, limit the contamination of this resource. Care must be taken to control spillages and all emissions into the wastewater system and stormwater drains. Hazardous chemical substances. Spillage procedures must be followed. Consult the Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS, before attempting to clean up. All chemicals and hazardous substances used on the premises have been identified, and Material Safety Data Sheets, or MSDSs, are available at the stores, occupational health practitioner, or SHE officer. It's a requirement that any person using a chemical substance must ensure that he or she is familiar with the MSDS prior to use. All containers with chemicals or hazardous substances must be labelled with its contents. Report spillages to your supervisor immediately. First aiders are to ensure that they know where to obtain the MSDS in case of chemical injury. Personal hygiene. Aberdare's SHEC policy clearly states that we're committed not only to preventing injuries, but also ill health. Therefore, it's everyone's responsibility to work towards this objective. Always ensure that you report any health-related matters immediately to management. Wash your hands regularly, especially after going to the toilet and before eating anything. Never leave any food leftovers lying around. Dispose of it in the correct way. Never take or allow tools, material, etc. in eating and ablution facilities. Keep all ablutions, kitchens and eating facilities clean. Do not eat on the shop floor. Adhere to the Aberdare smoking policy. Undergo annual medical examinations as per the company's procedure. Adhere to all requirements as set out by the noise, ventilation, thermal and lighting surveys. Use ear protection where signs indicate that they're required. Use face masks and gloves whenever required. Quality. Aberdare Cables strives to ensure that quality products are supplied to our customers. To ensure that the best possible product is shipped on time, we continuously check, measure and test our products against standards and customer expectations. All these inspection stages and standards are defined in our quality management system. Aberdare's system conforms to international standard ISO 9001. This listing gives our customers the confidence that we have systems in place to ensure the best quality, service and delivery at all times. Product licenses. Aberdare Cables has been given the approval to produce and mark our cables according to the South African Bureau of Standards, SABS, British Approvals Service for Electrical Cables, BASEC. Using only calibrated equipment, we know that the measurements and testing we do are accurate and will fulfill customer expectations. Skilled employees are trained to use the equipment correctly and safely. A wide variety of equipment is used within Aberdare Cables, ranging from the very basic ruler and tape measure to the sophisticated tensile tester and HV voltage test cage. Aberdare undergoes various auditings to ensure compliance with regards to local, recognized international standards, as well as legislative compliance. Quality is paramount next to safety. A quality product ensures that we maintain customer satisfaction and high levels of service, ensuring that we have happy customers. Yield. Material yield is a general term used to indicate how effective we are in using the minimum amount of raw materials to produce a product. Poor material yield is the poor control of materials utilized in the manufacture of our products and impacts on the finances of the company, as well as the environment. For every 1 kilogram of extra material required to manufacture or remake a product, more finance is required for the material, as well as the other resources and elements which go into the manufacture of that material. Material yield is made up of two basic parameters, namely in-process yield and scrap. In-process yield covers the controls in the manufacturing process where dimensions and length are met at a minimum to meet the standard specifications and quality requirements as per designs. Any usage over these allowances is unnecessary and seen as material giveaway or poor yield. Scrap is the waste generated when setting up a process, or the waste as a result of poor quality. It's accepted that a certain amount of scrap will be generated, but this needs to be minimized by controlled setup procedures and good quality control processes. Any unnecessary scrap is poor yield. Recycling scrap. Any acceptable method of recycling scrap in a way where quality is not negatively affected helps to improve material yield. By recycling, both finances and the environment are positively impacted. Closure. If you're unsure of something or regard it as unsafe, stop, think, ask someone, and then only act or proceed. Please let us all work together to keep Aberdare Cables a safe and healthy environment in which to work. Thank you for watching the Aberdare Cables awareness video. Please have an incident-free day.